This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everybody. Moving, they say, is one of the top 3 stressors in life. There's so many things involved in it. The logistics doesn't matter whether you're downsizing, upsizing, relocating, just trying to simplify where you're living. Now take that and put that challenge on somebody who is a little bit older. There's a lot of things to consider. They place those roots. Now they're moving from one spot to another. I found somebody that helps make that move a lot easier for somebody that's relocating to the Bay Area. And we're going to talk with her today. She's the woman behind Senior Settlers. Libby Wood joins us on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm just fine. How are you, Steve?
Fantastic. I love what you're offering. What a great idea. This should be for anybody that's moving, but certainly
it is. You know, honestly, people ask us that all the time. I'm 67. Can I still work with you? And it's like, we don't check IDs at the door. It's fine. We have worked with younger people. Usually they just have some reason that they need a little extra help. Maybe they've got young kids and full-time jobs, or, we had somebody just the other day, he had MS and he was quite young, but he wasn't able to pack boxes, so things like that.
When you work with somebody in planning their move, what are some of the things that you help along with?
So the biggest hurdle for a lot of people is the stuff. So they're moving from one place to another, and they've collected stuff over the years, and they don't necessarily want to bring all of it with them. And they've talked to their kids about it, and the kids don't want it. I know, shocking to hear. And so they're like, well, what do I do with it? And so we help them figure out what to do with all that stuff. So sometimes it can go to an auction house, a consignment store, or a charity, depending on what it is and what their needs are. So yeah, we work with all those people. We have a long list of resources, those kind of things we work with. So that's the biggest hurdle, is the stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot involved. And with today's storage prices, that's unless you have to, one of the last things you want to do. I moved a couple of years ago, and to my surprise, every 3 months you get a phone call. Hi, we're raising it up another $25. What? I thought it was locked in.
And also, if you don't know what's going to happen, if you're going to be storing something temporarily because in 6 months I've got some kind of need coming up or something like that, then it makes total sense. But if you're just storing it because you don't know what you're ever going to do with it, think about it in advance, I would say.
Sure.
We had a client. She had a great big house. Her husband lost a whole bunch of money, so they needed to downsize the house, and then the husband died. Boom. So she put all of that stuff, a whole house full of stuff, into storage and let it sit there for 14 years before she called us and realized, I'm never moving back into a big house. I got to deal with that stuff. And of course, by that time, the stuff had been sitting there and moldy, and, there were issues with it. So, it's not always a good idea to just throw things into storage.
I want to get into the process and the logistics, but I have to ask this question, Libby. Do you sometimes feel like a therapist when you work with people?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have also referred people to therapists, and we do know some good ones. So we can do a little bit of it, but we're not therapists, really.
But I get it. You're the voice of reason. And it's a place for your stuff. There's a great bit from the great George Carlin, A Place for My Stuff. And he does this whole bit, and we all have stuff, and we have to have a place for our stuff. I put my stuff in storage, downsized, and I was thinking, you know what, maybe I'll get another house, and that pool table and that, the sports bar and everything. I don't want to get rid of it right now. And it was like a year and a half later, I'm like, you are not going to be using that anytime soon. Facebook Marketplace, got rid of all of it, got a couple of bucks for it. And once you let it go, just let it go. It felt so much better.
Doesn't it feel good to let it go?
It feels good not having to make that payment every month for that huge storage.
That's true too.
Yeah. So take us through the process. Somebody calls you. Let's say it's a senior, or maybe maybe
or
a
the child
situation.
of a
Yeah,
senior
sure.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
Take us from there.
yeah. So the first thing we do is we schedule a consultation. We come out and we meet with them and we just talk about it. And, sometimes, most of the time, that then results in kind of a pulling together of what the project really is. Sometimes people know in advance what they think the project is. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it just takes some conversation to figure out what the project is and what the steps might be. And so then we go back and we write a proposal, just putting down on paper what we heard in that conversation to make sure that we're all in sync. And then we estimate the time and materials involved in doing that. So that's how we get started. And then, once we get agreement on that, then we schedule it, we take a retainer, and we go from there. So that's the process. And it depends, there's all different kinds of projects. Sometimes it's just downsizing. Sometimes it's moving from here to where you live. So moving out of the Bay Area. Sometimes it's moving into the Bay Area. Sometimes it's moving from 7-bedroom, 11-bathroom house into a condo or a senior community, whatever. Every project's different.
Well, thanks for that clarification in my mind, because I thought it was people that are moving to the Bay Area. You help them move
We do that.
there, right? But as you said, you could live in the Bay Area and you can help somebody with their move across the country.
Yeah.
Can you help anybody anywhere in the United States?
Yeah. Well, what we would do that, we don't, it's probably not cost effective for us to travel to New York, for example. I mean, we'd have to fly there, we'd have to get hotel rooms, whatever. So what we would do is we have contacts actually all over the world. So we belong to an international organization. It's called the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers, NASM, but it's not just national, it's actually international. And so we've got contacts all over the place, people who do similar things to what we do, and we would get in touch with one of them just to save the client the cost of us traveling. Yeah.
I have to think that you're very detail oriented.
Yeah, that's true.
And I have to find out how did you get into this niche?
Yeah. So my background, I have a degree in math from Stanford University, and I worked worked for the Fed for 32 years. I was vice president of information technology services. So I'm a detail oriented person for sure. And I retired from that and got a call I was just doing some volunteer work, this and that. And I got a call from a friend and she said, "Oh, Libby, I have got this other friend and she's moving from a condo into a senior community. I promised her I would help her do it because I've done it, with my parents, my in-laws, whatever. I've done it lots of times, so I know what to do. But I'm sick and I can't do it." So I said, "Well, I don't know what to do because I've never done this before." She said, "Don't worry, I'll talk you through it. I just need to be at home right now." So, okay. So I did it, had the best time. This woman who was moving was adorable. She had really serious early onset dementia, but she was just the cutest little thing. I loved her. And we got her moved and she was so happy. And it was really a good transition for her because that condo, there were stairs, it was isolating. There were just so many reasons it was wrong for her. And the senior community was a perfect fit. So it was just a really nice thing. And it's like, okay, this just seems like something I enjoy doing and I could do this some more. And now it's kind of evolved into this big job.
Love it. Love it. I want to tell everybody that you are certified in this. There is a certification for it.
There is.
You have many awards.
We have won awards, yes.
And you have a team that you work with.
We have 22. I have 22 employees on the team, and our award was we were the small green business of the year, and the award was for keeping things out of the landfill. So we try as much as we can to keep things out of the landfill. So we're eco-friendly. We are a green business, and we try to repurpose, reuse, recycle, all of those kind of things. We try and keep things, there are some things that are just going to have to go to landfill. There's no choice, but we try and avoid that whenever we can. So that was the award that we won. And yes, we are A+ certified with the National Association. And I am personally certified, and it's a good certification to have. You learn quite a bit about the moving industry, about, the issues with seniors and so
Sure.
on. It's a good certification.
Yeah, I never thought about the landfill situation. So thank you for doing what you do to keep things eco-friendly.
Keep it clean.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What's the most unusual request that somebody has asked for in their move? Anything that stands out in your mind?
Oh, I don't know. We've shipped some pretty peculiar things. we ship, we shipped some furniture to Sweden the other day. That was kind of a lot. Like, why would you ship furniture to Sweden? But that's what the client wanted, so we did. I shipped I drive a Prius, and I filled the Prius one time with Barbie dolls, and because the client wanted it shipped to her sister in Florida, so entire Prius full of Barbie dolls got shipped to Florida.
Okay,
That was
that's very unique.
odd. Yeah, that was really odd.
There's no judgment here. It's whatever anybody wants, and you get it done.
It's what they wanted. Okay, So yeah, we get interesting. It keeps the job interesting. When we find this kind of
I'll bet
oddball stuff.
When somebody reaches out to you, do you ever make recommendations as to where somebody could move? Has anybody, asked for some advice? What about this complex? What about that center?
They do ask us about that. And I have to say, I tell them, it's like, what is the best pair of shoes? It's what fits you the best. So, what somebody likes this particular senior community and this other person can't stand it, so what we do, yes, I'm, obviously I have many, many opinions. So, I know a lot of the senior communities and what they can offer, but I would really prefer to refer people with that question to a placement service, because those placement services, they can give you the rundown on exactly what it costs and, what their buy-in fees are, or whatever, all that kind of stuff. And I don't keep up with that. We don't, I know they've given me lunch there, so I know what the food tastes like, but that's probably about it.
And they gave you lunch there for a reason, so you'd talk about it.
Yeah. And generally they give you really good
Of course they do.
Yeah.
It's like I have a friend that works in the medical field, and when the drug reps come walking through, they want you to, push their particular medication.
Yeah.
It's the best lunch spread you've ever seen.
It's lovely. It's lovely. Mm-hmm.
So what's your advice for somebody that is downsizing, somebody, let's say, going from a home to a townhome, and they know they got to get rid of stuff, but it's hard to let some of this stuff go? What are some first thoughts there?
Well, I have my own perspective, and that is, it really is easier to work with somebody who's not invested in you. It's like not your daughter, not your spouse, whatever.
Sure.
Somebody from the outside who can give you a little bit of perspective on, what to do with that silver candelabra or whatever, So they can say, okay, well, it's worth this much money on the market. Your kids don't want it. Here's some good outside advice, rather than, worrying about it from the emotional perspective. I mean, you want to take the emotion into account, but you also need that outside, cold, unbiased direction too.
Honestly, Libby, I hear it echoing in my head, that candelabra that, let's say, mom is holding, and she's in the middle. I don't know if it should go in this box, it's going to the landfill, or I should take it with me. And then hearing daughters say, Mom, you can't get rid of that. Don't you remember the time that we had Thanksgiving dinner 23 years ago, and it was just so wonderful? You can't get rid of it. Okay, honey, do you want it? I don't want it.
Right.
So now what?
I wrote a whole book about this. I don't know if you saw in my bio. I wrote a book. I have a copy of it here.
Oh, I love that. Home of the Brave, or how to put that back up there again.
How to overthrow the tyranny of stuff. Yes. Yeah, because there's all these emotional things that go into why we hang on to our stuff. And it's different for different people. So, I mean, you've got the daughter saying, oh, I remember all those Christmas dinners with the candelabra and all that. Then you've also got, like, this one really, this touched my heart, really. Worked with a guy. He was a Vietnam vet. He had been affected by Agent Orange, and so he was really not healthy, right? I mean, he was undergoing treatment several times a week at the VA, and it was not good. But he was a really outdoorsy guy, and he had a canoe and a speedboat and tents and camping equipment and saddles for horses and just all this outdoor stuff. And that is what had defined him, right? He was Mr. Outdoors.
Wow.
But there's no way he could do any of that stuff anymore. Right. It was heartbreaking, really. So we helped him downsize the stuff. So we helped him sell the boats.
Wow.
Let go of some of the tents, things like that. He hung on to some, some things he just couldn't get rid of, right? But he really needed to let go of quite a lot of it. And that, it's defining who you are. He was Mr. Outdoorsy guy.
Well, I totally get it. He had to give up a piece of himself.
Exactly. It's super hard. Super hard. Yeah.
Yeah. You're an empath, aren't you? Yeah.
We try not to, sometimes it really it gets to you, it breaks your heart. It does.
Yeah. And when you said you weren't a therapist, I was kind of joking when I said that, but you're a therapist. Yeah. Not certified in that, but you are.
Well, we can give him a hug, that's, just give him a hug.
But you have a goal, and that's to align with somebody else's goals. And a lot of times with holding on to our stuff or memories, etc., we can't meet our goals unless somebody else whispers in our ear, when was the last time you wore those pants?
Yes.
It's time to let them. There are some say that if you haven't worn something in 6 months, it goes to the donation bin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of, I got tricks. I got lots of tricks. One trick is to put the clothes in your closet on hangers and turn them backwards so the hanger faces out.
Okay.
And look at it again in 6 months and see what's been turned around the other way. And if it's still turned backwards, let it go. 6 months or a year, whatever your time frame is. But that way, it's still sitting there. It's still facing backwards.
You have to flex your muscle sometimes, because you'll always get that excuse. Yeah, well, I'm going to lose weight. When I lose weight, I'm getting back in those pants. Okay, all right. But meanwhile, you've got 15 boxes ready to go, and you're thinking about putting together another 15 boxes, and now you're traveling cross country. You don't have the space. Who has the money for storage for stuff like that? So it's almost as if you have to talk somebody off the ledge. But again, they know they need to let it go. They know it. It's tough.
Right. Another thing to add to your little list is interstate moves charged by the pound.
Oh,
right. I mean, local moves don't, but interstate moves do.
Sure. How about some other quick tips, thoughts, insight?
Yeah. I've got many of those. Okay, here's another thing about clothes.
Let's hear it.
Studies show that you really only wear 33 items of clothing.
Totally agree.
This is 1. This is 2. Socks and underwear don't count. The rest is taking up space in your closet.
It's hard to accept that because you made an investment in those clothing purchases. There's some emotional attachment to it. I looked good. I looked good in that. Well, 8 years ago.
Or I did when I was 27.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's, but I completely agree with you. And I don't care if you're a man or a woman.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
I will be the first to admit that I have lots of shoes because the whole time, because they're all casual shoes. It drives me crazy when things are discontinued. So when I find something I like, and I have a certain manufacturer, not even a name brand, found them on Amazon, fits so good, they're not expensive. I buy different, same company. It's the same shoe in a different color and different. And they're sitting in boxes right now. I know I will use them. There's not a doubt in my mind. Oh, I know. There's no, it's without a doubt. There are a few pairs of shoes, and because they have so much dust on them that, I'm not going to wear those. And I started purging recently. Yeah, in the winter here in the Northeast, on a cold winter day, what do you got to do? Let's, try and get rid of some of that stuff. How does somebody engage you, whether they're moving to the Bay Area, out of the Bay Area, or need some? I'm sure you can consult and offer advice in a lot of this, no matter where somebody is in the country.
Sure. Yeah. Well, they can call us. It's the easiest, or send me an email. either way, we have a website, www.senior-settlers.com, so just call us and we're happy to talk to them about it. Yeah, that's probably the easiest.
Yeah.
Just
And just want to make sure we get it's seniors-settlers.com.
Right.
Correct?
Senior-settlers.
Right.
Just one senior.
Yeah.
One senior, multiple settlers.
Any
Yeah.
final thoughts here? I love all your tips. What about organizing? Let's say once you get there and you move in and you want to have the best outcome in terms of putting your stuff where it should belong. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, that is something we do. Hanging the pictures, making the beds, putting the dishes in the cupboards, all that kind of stuff. We do that. Tips on how to do it: leave yourself room. Don't try and jam your cupboards too full so you can't open the drawers. Leave yourself room.
And I would imagine too, leave yourself time, because somebody just, I get it that you've moved. It's a complete life change. Dust is flying all over the place and your life in general, but you want to feel like I moved in. You can't do it all at once. It's okay to have some boxes still floating around out there until you get to them, right?
Well, we try and open all the boxes and get it all done for people. But
I'm talking if somebody attempts it on the solo side.
if somebody's doing it on their own, yeah, that happens all the time. And we get that call a year later saying, I moved in a year ago. I got all these boxes. I never opened them.
Wow.
Could you help us? And we open them and we go through them with them and they say, why did I pack that? I didn't need to bring that. So that happens kind of a lot. Yeah.
I appreciate you telling us that you offer that service to unpack and place, because I don't care who you are, senior, Gen X, Gen Z, baby boomer, it doesn't matter. That is the part of the move that is just, aside from packing, getting everything and putting it where it belongs and putting things away. You have so much to adapt to once you've moved, right down to figuring out, where do I get something to eat? I don't know. I'm new in town here. Where do I go? It's wonderful having somebody to take care of that for you.
Yeah. And it feels like home. Once you get some pictures on the wall and the bed's made, it really feels so much better than just having those naked walls, and the bed just sitting there, as a mattress. I love the fact that you truly, quote unquote, get it when it comes to moving, relocating, the planning, the logistics. You really, really run deep, and it's fabulous. I appreciate that. We love it. We just love what we do. We do.
There is no doubt you found your purpose in life.
It's
really
lots
did.
of fun.
And the passion shows. Senior-settlers.com. Wonderful talking with you, Libby, and looking forward to we get a chance to get together again.
Sounds great. Thank
you so much. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.